On this episode of The Outdoorsman, we're going to be breaking down what a stabilizer does for your compound bow and then give you guys some information and tips to help you pick out your stabilizer setup. So stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is what a stabilizer does for your compound bow, and that's two things. The first thing it's going to do is help dampen it by absorbing most of the vibration that comes from the bottom portion of your limbs. What you got to think and understand is that the engine of this bow is basically the cam system. Regardless if it's a single cam or a dual cam, your bow is putting off vibration from your strings down to your cams, and then that goes into your limbs up through your riser. And what that's going to do is that stabilizer is going to absorb a lot of that vibration that comes up through your limbs, up through your riser, and it's going to take away from hand shock, and it's going to absorb that vibration so there's not so much sound. Even if you're not looking to add weight onto the bottom portion of your bow, you can still throw an all rubber stabilizer on there to help quiet your bow. And most new archers don't understand that. Now, the second thing a stabilizer is going to do is balance out your bow. Now, if you're new to the archery world, don't focus on that, okay? Go out there and shoot. Then down the road, let's play a little bit with your stabilizers. Now, on my setup, you can see that I have two stabilizers, and that's for the balancing aspect. You don't always need a rear stabilizer. Some people put them on there, some people don't. A lot of times you see Olympic shooters or competition shooters shoot them, or 3D shooters shoot with rear stabilizers. And what that does is it basically will keep that bow from rolling forward and keep it more balanced in the back, or sometimes guys will still put a little bit on there and still have the bow rolling forward. It just depends on how you want the bow to sit in your hand. I prefer to have the bow sitting literally perfectly in my hand and not rolling whatsoever, and that can be done with adjusting the plates on your stabilizers. On my front stabilizer, it's an 8-inch with 0 plates, and on my back side, it is a 6-inch stabilizer with 2 plates. And those 2 plates are going to put a little bit more weight, because I've noticed on these RX4s and some of the Axius series from 2020 on the Hoyt lineup, they do tend to roll forward a little bit, and they've done that on the past few years of their bows. So what I did to compensate for that was throw a rear stabilizer on this, and I absolutely love it. Now, some of your compound bows will give you a threading hole on the back portion of your bow to add a stabilizer or rear stabilizer. Not all of them will, but there are some companies out there like Trophy Ridge and I think Limb Saver, and I also want to say Bee Stinger, that make their own rear stabilizer kits to where you can hook it up through the front and it'll kick it off in the back, and then you'll still have the capability of throwing a forward stabilizer on there. And they also make some too where you can actually, it just kicks the stabilizer off the side, and you can slide that one stabilizer forward and backwards to balance it out how you want. Does a rear stabilizer help absorb more of the hand shock and vibration that's going to come up through the bow? Yes, of course it will. But do you need it? No. Do you need a forward stabilizer? In my opinion, yes, I think you do. Even if it's one of those solid rubber stabilizers by Limb Saver or TrueGlow, something cheap that's in that $20 price range, I would still advise maybe throwing a shorter one on there that's all rubber, because it'll help dampen your bow anyway. So that's what a stabilizer will do for your compound bow. I hope the information that we gave you throughout this episode helps you guys pick out your setup, and we'll catch you guys later on the next episode of The Outdoorsman.